Work has officially started at House of 1,000 Curves. We are unbelievably pumped over here. So first off, what's going on right now is this is the existing driveway. It's covered in dirt right now, but Julio and his crew, they chipped all of this existing driveway out because, as you can see, what he's doing right now, he came in with the excavator a couple days ago and they dug these trenches. These are what's called grade beams. So every foundation has grade beams. So that's on the perimeter of the foundation, as well as certain points through the foundation. The engineer just wanted one grade beam down the middle and one all the way around the perimeter. So what that is a thicker area where the concrete makes a beam. It's called horizontal beam. We call it a grade beam. And that really keeps this whole foundation from moving. So what we'll do is we'll pack all of this with rebar, and then we'll put a rebar mat on the top, which will be flat. It'll make a lot more sense when we show that. But then basically, we're gonna get some big footers in here because we need steel posts, because we have some massive decks that are cantilevered out from the house by way of steel. So they're gonna come out and land on these posts that we're gonna put in this slab right here. This guy, Julio, oh my God, he's one of the best masons, best concrete workers I've ever seen. He's literally only worked for us for 1 year because we've kept him so busy all the way through. Man, it's hot. You're killing it. I love you, man. You know I love you. Thank you so much. If you can hear that beeping, we got a dumpster coming in. This is one of the tighter sites we work in. So why don't you just watch just these little micro obstacles that we go through every day, getting a dumpster on site, getting trash removed, just all this little BS that can affect timelines. Look at how tight this is between the neighbor's fence on the other side and getting it back in here. So the first time that these guys dropped this, it took about 45 minutes of us maneuvering and figuring out the exact spot. So as you can see, we're now at a stage where we're ready for our pre-pour inspection. So that means our structural engineer comes out, verifies that we did everything according to plan, and the city of Austin is going to come out before we can move on and pour concrete. So let's talk about this a little bit. This right here, flat part, is called the rebar mat. That is a thinner rebar than here in the grade beams. If you look down into the grade beam, you can see that there's 4 pieces of rebar, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And then there's these U-shaped hooks of rebar. Those are called stirrups. So it kind of holds this whole section together because that is where the concrete's gonna be thicker. We have 24-inch grade beams on this project. So what that means is the engineer is gonna come out, he's gonna put a tape down there, make sure that our trench and our rebar is completely spanning that 24 inches. But something else that's important is if you look at the bottom of our grade beams, if you look at the bottom of the mat, there's rocks or bricks holding up the rebar. We don't want the rebar laying flat to the ground. And then this right here is a plastic poly that we put over all the earth. That's gonna be right up close next to the foundation because we don't want any moisture permeating up through into our house. Okay, come over here real quick. So another thing, when we have an existing slab, so this is an existing house, we're pouring on this new addition. This calls for dowels, and they have to be smooth as spec'd in our engineer plan. So these are smooth. You see how the rebar is ribbed. So we get a number 3 dowel, is the size that was spec'd out. We use epoxy. This is Hilti epoxy. So you drill in about 18 inches or whatever it calls for, epoxy everything, epoxy the dowel, put it in there, and now it's in there nice and tight. So then when we pour the new foundation, this dowel is going to grab into the new concrete and also secure into the existing like a stitch. Okay, so just a couple more things need to happen. We need to get our steel base plates. Those are wet set, which means when we pour the concrete, our steel fabricator will be on site to place those base plates for the post. And then we're moving into demoing the front porch area. We're gonna loft that whole ceiling. We have roof trusses on site. I cannot wait to get that going. As you can see, demo is well underway and we're making great progress. So we've talked about this a couple times. Manufactured roof trusses. They're like big triangles with a webbing shape in between them. These are made off-site. They're actually called out by an engineer, and then they're designed by our lumber supplier. So they design the webbings, they design them to be a certain span. The ridge on the original house was right down the middle here, and the ridge is just the peak of the triangle that we call the gable. You can see the triangle right there. That peak just went right down the center. So what we're doing is we're offsetting the ridge, because over here on the original ceiling, when you see these double 2x4s right here, that's called the top plate. There's also a bottom plate down here, but the top plate is at 9 feet. So our trusses are designed to where they slope gradually to our new ridge, where that plate height on the other side is gonna be 13 feet. So right when you come through that entry, it's gonna be a super grand entry into the home. Okay, so now that we've demoed, this is over 100-year-old home. Come check this out. You can see some of it here. We have this tarped because down on that side is actually a finished basement. We don't want any water getting into that. But look at this. Termite damage, water rot, all through here. Our whole entire subfloor needs to be replaced. And we have to do that before putting a new structure on it. So we have to gather all of this info, put it into a change order, talk to our homeowner about what needs to happen, get that approved before we can start framing. Then, once that's approved, we're gonna frame all the new walls in this space. We're gonna frame up that exterior wall, all of our window openings, and get our manufactured trusses in. Then we could dry this part of the house in, which means we'll put roof decking over the top, and then we'll put all of our felt paper to where it's much more protected from the elements. So then we're gonna move in to the rest of the home, gutting it, doing all of that structural work, which will come soon.